There's 5 board members present. Denny and Tammy are not here right now. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the republic for which it stands.
Need a motion to approve the agenda for the special meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. The only item on our agenda for the public hearing tonight is the chart abatement public hearing, and Mike Johnson from the city is going to present the information to us.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come and talk to you tonight. Tim, I don't know what they've got set up. I'll just talk from
They can see from
materials that I have at hand. I don't know what Sandy's got in there other than this is the formal packet of materials that came from Chart, but let me just give you an observation and then I can maybe go to something a little bit later. Okay. How's this?
Good.
All right, normally I'm sitting on the other side, so I don't have to worry about that too much, but on September 16th of this year, we received a request from Chart Industries seeking a 1-year extension to the job and wage requirement contained within Section 3.10 of the Business Subsidy Agreement, subsection B, on job and wage goals in the contract for private development between the city, Scott County School District, and Chart Inc. that was dated November 1 of 2012. Under this contract, they were required to create at least 80 new full-time FTE jobs, which is in addition to the 468 full-time equivalent jobs that were currently existing back at that time, and shall cause the wages for those jobs to be no less than $12.32 per hour, exclusive of any of the benefits. Those jobs were required to be created within 2 years after the date of issuance of the certificate of completion of the minimum improvements by the city of New Prague. Those minimum improvements, as you recall, was the construction of that 111,000 square foot new manufacturing facility on the nearly 25 acres. The city issued the certificate of completion on the minimum improvements on October 9th of 2013, and the results were expected to be in compliance by October 8 of 2015. Based on the email that we received from Mr. Bruce Lyman, Vice President of Facilities and Business Development, and the documents that we provided to you in your packets, it does not appear that they will meet that employment goal of 80 new FTE jobs by October 8th. And so in accordance with the contract for private development that we all entered into, after public hearings held by the city, county, and school, there's the ability and approval by the 3 entities, there's the ability to extend that compliance date by up to 1 year. And as such, if the 3 entities approve it, it could be extended from October 8th of 2015 to October 8th of 2016. City Council approved the request on October 5th. The Scott County Board of Commissioners approved it on October 6th, and tonight is your public hearing for the same consideration. The information we have from Chart showed a gain of 26 jobs at the end of 2013 and a gain of 42 at the end of 2014. That's not in addition, that's just the aggregate of the 80. So as of the end of 2014, supposedly they had created 42 of the 80 new jobs. In order to consider the request, we all, the city, the county, and the school, must hold a public hearing, which 2 of the 3 have. And following any public comment, assuming there's anybody here to comment on it, you then need to make a determination on whether you want to approve or not approve the request from Chart Inc. In this process, as you take a look at it, Mr. Lyman is unable to be here this evening. He is in China. I can assure you that he's dealing with matters of a similar nature over in China, that as you take a look in here, the liquid natural
LNG.
gas, LNG for short, compared to the market of what's happening with oil, you can see from the materials significantly changed from their early expectations, thus resulting in a slowdown in the economy of the new LNG program. So in your consideration tonight, as you take a look at this, that Bruce wanted me to remind you that their base business is still very strong, but it's the framework of the business growth on the new LNG equipment growth that's clearly been significantly delayed. So in your packet is a resolution, should you find it appropriate that at the conclusion of your consideration this evening, that you consider a one-year extension to the request. Question might be is that what happens if we get to the end of the one next year and they still haven't complied? Under the current contract at this point, there is a provision for that only to be extended to this next year, that it hasn't been looked at trying to consider any further extensions beyond that. So I can't tell you what happens if we get there 1 year from now, other than the contract as it exists says we can do it one time. Question might be is what happens if we get there and they still have not created the number of jobs that are required under the contract. The provisions on the, I believe it's page 16 that Sandy included of the materials from the contract, provides for remedies if the developer fails to meet the goals that are described in the section that I referred to at the beginning of my conversation here. And essentially what would happen is we would discontinue any of the existing facility tax abatement or the tax abatement on the, we had both the existing facility and the new tax abatement. And so we would discontinue that going forward, and then we'd also go back and take a look at the number of jobs that were created relative to the goal of 80 new jobs. And if need be, there's provisions for basically what they call clawback or repayment for not meeting the full 80 jobs, that there would be a required payback of, in the school's case, a portion of the tax abatement that's already been provided to date. So with that, I guess I'll stand for any questions. Yes, sir, Mr. Dvorak.
Question for information's sake for us and for the TV audience. It's already two people or two groups have already voted for.
The City Council has approved it, and Scott County Commissioners approved it following the council's approval.
Must it end up 3-0?
So you are the last group, and that in order for us to extend the compliance date by 1 year, it requires approval from all three bodies.
And I guess we also have to open it up for any other public
Anybody that's here in
questions.
attendance for the public hearing, if there's
I'm
any
assuming
comments.
people in the audience don't have any further questions.
Craig?
I don't have any further questions. I think it's pretty straightforward, and it's easy to understand why the jobs haven't been created, because we're all aware of what's going on in the LNG market, or have
Yes.
read about it in the paper.
And I believe we should work with the city and the county and move forward with this the same way they did, give them the 1 year extension.
And as I indicated, that if for some reason we get to the end of the 1 year extension as it currently exists and we choose not to extend it, and there's no provision to necessarily extend it, any tax abatement going forward would be discontinued, and then we would take a look at what progress has been made relative to them meeting the jobs of the total 80, and would take a look at whether there's any repayment mechanisms needing to be put into place. And that's summarized under the remedies that's contained in the materials that you have in front of you as well.
So I'd need a motion to consider the resolution that Jerry has to read.
Make a motion that we approve the extension.
Don, could you speak in the microphone too? Don? I don't hear you. I don't hear you at all. Could you speak in?
I make a motion that we approve the abatement for Chart Industry.
I'll second it. And okay, now I'm supposed to read the resolution. Okay, I don't have the experience data, so here goes. This resolution is approving compliance date, extension, and amendment to contract for private development with Chart Incorporated, including a business subsidy agreement for certain property in the city of New Prague. How do you vote on this, Don?
Yes.
Jeannie?
Yes.
Kenton?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And now vote yes too. Motion carries 5-0. Or resolution does.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for your assistance. As we reflect back that Chart has done everything that they said that they would do as far as the construction of the minimum improvements, that they spent upwards of nearly $26 million on the construction of that manufacturing facility, and so it certainly is their intent not to just to let that sit idle, and that if they have the abilities and wherewithal, I'm certainly expecting that they will attempt to comply with those job goals as much as possible within the parameters of what free enterprise and the market system will allow. Thank you very much for your assistance tonight.
Thanks for coming in, Mike. Appreciate it.
What a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Want to move over to the other area?